On October 29, 2012, Hurricane Sandy struck the New York City metropolitan area, causing massive flooding and structural damage. During the storm, large amounts of sand from beaches along the Atlantic coast was washed into New York City communities in southeastern Queens, Brooklyn, and Staten Island. Early in the cleanup process, FEMA and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers established plans to transport the sand with other debris to landfills in distant Pennsylvania. The New York City Mayor's Office of Environmental Remediation, OER, developed an alternative plan. Recognizing that the sand was a clean and valuable natural resource, OER proposed to keep the sand in New York City and use it to provide protection against flooding from future coastal storms like Hurricane Sandy. OER proposed the plan to environmental regulators at the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Working closely with OER, these agencies approved the alternative sand reuse plan within just a few days. The plan was then proposed to FEMA and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. A sand reuse plan had never been considered after a coastal storm in the U.S. before. Nonetheless, the plan was approved in just 1 week. The key to sand reuse was separate collection and storage from other debris during the storm cleanup process. A massive sand stockpile was produced by trucking the sand to the parking lot at Reese Park in nearby Queens. At Reese Park, the sand was segregated from other large piles of debris from the storm. Within a couple weeks, the removal of sand from coastal communities was complete. The stockpile was then sampled to ensure that the sand was not contaminated during the storm. While the stockpile contained some debris, the sampling results showed that the sand was of pristine quality and suitable for reuse. To remove the debris, sand was run through a mechanical sifter. After the sand was fully sifted, it was loaded onto trucks and transported to Rockaway Beach. The sand was then placed in a continuous 10 to 12 foot high berm underneath the boardwalk at the head of the beach. This berm would ultimately grow to over 1 mile in length. Today, the berm functions like a levee and is the first line of defense against flooding from coastal storm surge along Rockaway Beach. In total, this beach sand management program beneficially reused over 200,000 cubic yards of sand. Finding a way to reuse this sand locally saved FEMA over $60 million in transport and disposal costs. Use of this free sand to build the flood protection berm also saved $15 million in sand purchase costs. Reusing the sand locally also eliminated 1.5 million miles of truck travel through the metropolitan area. It lowered diesel fuel consumption by about 350,000 gallons and greatly lowered greenhouse gas and other pollution emissions. Overall, the program was a tremendous success. Reuse of beach sand after Hurricane Sandy is just one example of a new approach to reuse of soil and rock being pioneered in New York City. The centerpiece of this new work is the New York City Clean Soil Bank, which promotes direct exchange of soil and rock between construction sites. These new programs will grow to meet the needs of New York City for generations to come.